Commissioner Jason Corley in the studio this morning. And Jason, are you ready for Thanksgiving?
Oh, definitely.
What are you guys going to do? You going to cook at home?
We're doing a brisket.
Okay.
Pit Forks and Smoke Rings, a great barbecue shop there in Slayton. So, we got a brisket from those guys. They're also smoking turkeys and stuff like that.
Tell me the name of the place again.
Pit Forks and Smoke Rings. Okay. It's out there on South 400.
You're a co-owner out there, are you?
No. No, just a good customer. But no, we're just getting a brisket from those guys. We didn't do a turkey this year, but you talk about cooking those things, about whether they're frozen or not. Look up some of those videos of the guys that are what do you call them, frying those turkeys. Yeah. You got to watch out for those ones that drop them in there frozen. Yeah, it blows all that oil everywhere. Well, when that was a big thing when it first came out. I mean, there was somebody burned their garage down every single year.
Sure.
And yeah,
you're supposed to do that outside, right?
Right,
yeah, you're
exactly.
not supposed to do it inside.
Yeah.
Okay.
Take that out in the middle of the driveway.
Jody, do you have any experience in frying turkeys?
Well, I have a story about that very thing. I was hunting with a bunch of crazy hillbillies who were drinking at 10 o'clock in the morning up in Arkansas, and they did that very thing, threw a frozen turkey in that oil. It
exploded.
Oh, yeah. It like to burn the joint down, man.
Well, you drop that frozen turkey in there, and then all that oil's hot, so it starts hopping out of there. Well, it just runs down the side, catches the burner, and then you've got a little geyser of fire going on.
Yeah, Chad Hasty Show cooking note: do not drop frozen turkey in boiling oil.
Yeah, our firemen, our volunteer firemen, they want to be with their families too, so please don't do that. I mean, you can visit. There's better ways to meet firemen.
Texter from 4694. No. You can't cook a frozen turkey. Okay. Let's see. Oh, here's from 6570. You didn't think I'd read this, did you? I can confirm I know everything about turkeys, and yes, both of you are turkeys. So. 770-5790 if you want to join the show. 680-2790 if you want to text in. Commissioner, it's been a kind of a weird year, and I don't think you ever anticipated any of this. But let's talk about some of the victories of the county commissioners court up until now. What do you see as some of the highlights?
Some of the highlights. One of the things I'm looking forward to, December 15th, we'll have our driver's license office open, we'll have our tax assessor's office in Slayton there. You'll be able to go in and get your driver's license renewed. If you've had to do that here lately over at the DPS office, how long the waits can be. The state kind of centralized those to where you've got one big, these big hubs for where you can get your driver's license renewed and do those kinds of things. And, so we've got some pretty long lines. So one of the things we're doing to, helps out the state, also helps out, all of our Lubbock County residents and, people from other parts could go there too. But yeah, you'll be able to call in, schedule a time, come in, get your driver's license renewed.
What day is that open?
December 15th.
And whereabouts is it in Slayton?
It's at Smith Ford, right there on Division and Highway 84.
Okay.
So,
you can see that from the highway.
Oh yeah, you can see it from the road. Yeah, just take the Division exit, go underneath the overpass. It's right there. You can't.
So we'll have the Slayton office, we'll have Levelland, and we'll have the Lubbock office. For driver's license.
Yes, sir. Okay. Yeah, and we'll only be able to do renewals. So, if your kid turns 16, wants a driver's license, you won't be able to do it there.
Good point. So only renewals.
Only renewals.
Okay.
So, that'll just try to, the state, I think the last legislature went ahead and pushed that through to allow counties to be able to do that. So, that'll help take some of that burden off of that office over there. And, there's a kind of a convenience fee there that, helps, lets us break even on it. So, it's an extra $10 goes to Lubbock County, and there's $10 to the state. But for $20, you don't have to sit down there for 4 hours. Yeah, I'd pay it, and I'd pay it twice.
Speaking about driving, what about roads in Lubbock County? What have y'all done for that?
We had a road bond beginning of 19. A lot of we're in the design phase on a lot of those projects. Woodrow Road being the main one that needs to be addressed. We're looking at going to a 5-lane road from I-27 all the way to Slide Road, just to help with that, help with that congestion, take care of that growth. I think this is something that's been on the radar. I mean, I graduated from Lubbock Cooper in 2001, so back then, you had that road was packed, bumper to bumper in the mornings trying to get to school, and you got to figure half the drivers have had a driver's license anywhere from 1 day to 2 years tops. So, there's definitely a need there to improve that road.
When do you see that starting to happen?
I think we're going to. COVID's affected a lot of things, but I believe we're shooting for the start of 2022.
Okay.
Maybe, hopefully, in 2021 we'll be able to start start getting some things moving. We've already got the plan in place. Already been looking at the right of way, how much space we're going to need on either side of that road, and just getting all the pre-planning done, getting ready for it.
All right, so that's what any other infrastructure we should be aware of the roads, Woodrow for sure. And I hear from a lot of people that live in the county, they for one reason or another, and I see the attraction, you want to be out in the open spaces, but they live on a Caliche Road and it's not graded properly, and some instances it needs to be redone and so forth. And when it rains, and of course we haven't seen rain in a long time,
right.
But how do you all budget for that, and how do you triage, who gets what as far as their Caliche Roads kind of, revamped, as it were?
Traffic count's really the best way to look at that, and it just kind of depends on the road. I mean, we've got some roads that have very little traffic on them. You might have one house and it's Caliche just to that house. There's two, 3 cars a day going down it. So, that road will hold up a lot longer than, one where you've got really heavy traffic, or with all the growth that we're seeing, people are moving out there. I try to encourage, these builders or developers I talk to, build on pavement if you can. If you can't, try to build close to pavement, because one of the things that we'll require is if you're going to subdivide property, our subdivision regulations require that you upgrade that road. Because what you don't want to have happen, somebody goes out there and drops 200 houses on a dirt road. Okay, 200 houses, that's at least 400 cars a day that are going to go up and down that thing, and they're going to go up and down it twice. So, that little dirt road is not built to handle that. So,
I know where you can get a lot of brick. You can get a lot of brick for those roads. I know where they keep the brick. We're listening to the Chad Hasty Show. I'm Matt Crow, sitting in for Chad. He'll be back next week after the holiday. 770-5790 if you have a question for Commissioner Jason Corley. Let's talk about the budget a little bit and taxes. Tell us how you all approached that this year.
You did have a 2-3 vote on there. The tax rate that got approved is the same tax rate as the previous year. So if your appraisals went up, then you saw a tax increase. I personally did not think it was necessary. Commissioner C and I, we wanted to, it made about a $2 million difference. We had the money in reserves. We wanted to pull from that just to go ahead and cover this year, with everything going on with COVID-19. Unemployment in Lubbock went from 3% to about 7%. So, that's definitely a concern. But when you look at your tax, when you look at the tax revenues coming in, you didn't see that difference in there. So, a lot of that was shifting to online. People were making their online purchases, or, with the bars shut down and, the restaurants, maybe the money that people would have spent locally was now going on Amazon or eBay or something like that. So the tax revenue side, it didn't really make a whole lot of difference. But on the employment side, how is this affecting your neighbors? That's there you could see it in the unemployment numbers going up.
So you said it was a 2-3 vote.
Mm-hmm.
So it was you and Chad C. and Gilbert Flores and Bill McKay and Judge Parrish voted. Okay.
Yeah,
on the other side.
And there's arguments both ways on that one.
Now, you guys had set that up before, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
we had done that the previous year. No.
Yeah.
Went ahead and had the vote on that one. One of the things we were looking at that we're trying to get done, and these are old promises made by a previous court that we were trying to take care of, and that was our fire departments and our sheriff's deputies trying to finish out their step pay program. That'd been on the burner for 7 years and just hadn't been done. You're losing good deputies left and right. We lost half the SWAT team to go be cops for school districts. That's a concern. Somebody moves up, takes a better job or something like that. That's one thing, but these guys were door thumpers.
When we come back from the break, we'll get to first responders, because I know the firemen is a special concern for you and their equipment and so forth. Also want to talk about one of your favorite subjects, the medical examiner's office. You thought I'd forgotten about that, didn't you, Corley? We'll talk about that
keeps on giving.
When we come back. You're listening to the Chad Hasty Show. Stay tuned. We'll be back in a few minutes. Welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show. I'm Matt Crow, sitting in for Chad. He'll be back next week. In the studio, Commissioner Jason Corley, and during the break, I asked him, when does Commissioner McKay's, I don't want to say replacement, but Bill retired and decided not to run, and Terrence Kovar is going to take over. So when does Terrence start on the court? When will be his first County Commissioners Court meeting?
Let's see. That'll be the second Monday in January of 2021. So he'll be sworn in January 1st. Him and Gilbert Flores won his race in Precinct 3. So they'll both be sworn in that day, and some judges also. But that's when he'll be getting started.
How did you break in with the complexities of the Commissioners Court? Did you attend Commissioners Court ahead of your election, or how do you bring yourself up to speed on stuff like that?
So
you read a book,
right? Well, that's the problem. You got 254 counties in Texas, and there's 10,000 ways to do everything. So there's at least 4 different ways per county. But one of the things that I did was to watch a lot of the all of our Commissioner Court meetings are recorded, so you can sit there and you can watch all of those, and you can break it down by individual item that's on the agenda. That's pretty helpful. But if you go to a hospital, if you want to know what goes on in the hospital, don't ask the doctor, ask the janitor.
Right.
So I had a lot of friends with Lubbock County that I would just go to and say, okay, what's the rub? How does this work?
Speaking of hospitals, you were the first person as I remember it, to really get into the mess that was the ME's office. And now it has come a long ways forward to being, I guess, completely rehabilitated.
It is doing awesome. We got Dr. Addington in there. He was a great doctor anyways. He's also an excellent manager. With his leadership, we've also got some great staff over there running the office that really got that thing turned around. Tarrant County, Dr. Perwani out there, we've got that system rolling really well. Let's see. Miller, the Miller Brothers Mortuary Service does all of our transport. It's just really clicking. It's working really well. We've been able to, I quit getting phone calls about it.
Are we going to get to a point though where we do the autopsies here, or will we continue to send them out of the city?
Well, there's pros and cons to that either way. If you go ahead and you do that, if you go back to doing your autopsies here, I would not be in favor of having a medical examiner who actually does the autopsies. You need somebody that administrates that office, and it does need to be somebody with an MD. That's state law. But I would like to see us go ahead. If we go that route, let's go ahead and hire a pathologist. You actually need 2 pathologists, giving the number of traffic, or the amount of traffic that goes through that office. That being said, but you can look at it the other way. With Tarrant County, with those guys, their turnaround time is excellent. The other thing that they have a 14 doctor panel review that they do on every single case before it ever leaves. So, when I'm talking to our DA and her employees, the testimony that they get is phenomenal. You talk with members of the defense bar; they're very happy with the product that's coming out of that office. So,
well, that's good news, and I got to pat you on the back for that, because I think a lot of people have taken credit otherwise, but you were the one who raised the red flag on the whole thing. Changing gears for a second, first responders, the sheriff's department, and the volunteer fire departments across the county. Give us kind of a status on them.
So, on our volunteer fire departments, the way that they were funded by the county was we're paying about $450 per. We're paying $450 per call that they ran, and that system was put in place back in 2011. So it was just time to take another look at it. It's hard to do something the same way that you did it 10 years ago. Just too many things changed. So Chad C and I, we kind of headed that up. We met with our fire chiefs. We met once a month for probably 8-9 months, and just kind of hammered it out and saying, okay, where do we need to be? What needs to happen? What's going to do the best for you, for our volunteer fire departments, as well as the people they serve. And what we had come up with was, the big ticket items that were really costing those guys, to burn through their budget was their SCBAs. That's the air pack they wear when they go in. Also, their bunker gear. So that's the heavy clothing that protects them when they go into a fire as well. So those items get pretty pricey. So but you've got 11 different volunteer fire departments. You've got 11 different ways of doing things. On some of the equipment, it kind of turns into Fords and Chevys. Somebody likes one, somebody likes the other, and there's no change in anybody's mind on it. So what we'd worked out was we said, okay, we're going to buy you guys each 3 sets of 3 SCBAs per department, as well as 5 sets of bunker gear. So we went ahead and put that into the budget, got that all worked out. So that's what we've been doing to try to help those guys out. So that will free up some of their other funds to pay for other things they need. Tires is a big one on these fire trucks. you may have a truck that, if you ever see an old fire truck running down the road, it's probably only got 15, 20,000 miles on it. But the problem you run into is those tires go bad just sitting there. So yeah, that gets to be a big expense for those guys as well.
All right, when we come back, we're talking to Commissioner Jason Corley. Want to get into one of my favorite subjects, constituent relations. How does he kind of triage constituent calls? People have concerns and they reach out to him. You're listening to the Chad Hasty Show. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show. We're going to go straight to the phones. We've got a listener who'd like to talk to Commissioner Corley about the ME office. Mary, you're on line one. Go ahead with your question.
Yes. Good morning, guys.
Morning.
I have a question for Mr. Corley. Mr. Corley, if you've lost a loved one in 2019 and 2020 during this COVID crisis,
Yes, ma'am.
you'll know that the backlog on autopsies is horrendous. And a lot of people, are contacting people who have lost a loved one in 2019 or 2020 because of the backlog. They are unable to collect on the insurance and unable to pay funeral homes, unable to move on with their lives because it's taken so long for the autopsies to come in. And if you know anything about any kind of settlements or anything, you know that the autopsy is number one. In a county as large as Lubbock County and as much taxes as we pay in the county of Lubbock, we should expect that the medical examiner's office should have their own autopsy department.
Mary,
Mary,
we've got to go to the top of the hour, so we're going to address that when we come back from the news, okay?
Yes, ma'am. Stay with us.
We'll
address it.
We'll come back and we'll get to that question. You're listening to the Chad
Yeah,
Hasty
I heard
Show
of a lawsuit
on
that was in the
KFYO.
works.
We'll come back to the question right after the top of the hour. This is the Chad Hasty Show, the pre-Thanksgiving edition. 1 month of Christmas. I repeat, 1 month of Christmas. Start figuring out how you're going to pay for all the kids' presents and so forth. My children are at the age now, I just hand them a check, which solves a lot of problems. I'll be out to see the kids in Florida at the end of next month. In the studio with us is Commissioner Jason Corley. If you want to join the show, 770-5790 or toll free 800-687-0790. The text line, if you're shy, is 680-2790. A lot of bashful people out there. Before we went to the news, Mary had some questions about the ME's office. Two things she brought up. Let's take them one at a time. Backlog. Is there a backlog in the ME's office right now with autopsies?
To my knowledge, no. Dr. Addington is signing death certificates every single day. Also, if you do need if someone does have to have it now, remember, not everyone that dies has to have an autopsy. But if someone does need an autopsy, once they reach, let's refer to the deceased as the patient here. So once the patient reaches the ME's office, we get all the paperwork together, and then they're going to be sent usually the next day to Tarrant County. Tarrant County's turnaround time is about 24 hours on autopsies, so that they can get the patient back to Lubbock. So that they can move on, the family can move on, so that they can go ahead and go to the funeral home, make those arrangements. Now, if there's toxicology, if there's some other lab results that you're waiting on, you're kind of at the mercy of the lab on that one. So you may get stuck waiting to get those back.
Changing gears, and I'll come back to the topic, but with the COVID deaths in the hospitals and so forth, how has the ME's office been able to contend with that? I mean, it's not an avalanche of deceased people, but there's more than usual. I think it's safe to say.
So, sterile procedure. The precautions you're going to take for COVID are the same precautions that you would take for TB, for any other, communicable disease. So, we were already maintaining that protocol anyways. Also, part of our emergency preparedness is a mass casualty situation. Prior to COVID, this would have been thought of as a bus crash or a plane crash or something along those lines. So we've got protocol in place to go ahead and handle that if you did start to see a surge in deaths. So Lubbock County, in preparation for this, Dr. Addington is very forward thinking on it, and we were able to increase our capacity there so that in the event that something did happen, you could house more people, or excuse me, you could hold more bodies if there was a delay there in getting to them to the funeral home for some reason, or or you just had extremely high casualty numbers. So that's something that we already had some preparedness in place already.
She mentioned lawsuits. Now, I remember the outfit in California that we had to get involved with legal. I don't want you to divulge any, attorney-client privilege here. We've gotten everything back from California now, haven't we?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. All of those that was handled beginning of this year.
Okay.
All of the
files,
slides,
everything
tissues,
else, your samples,
anything,
everything's come back.
Yeah, everything has been returned to Lubbock County. So we do have all of that in our possession now. You still do have the Ranger investigation going on. You still do have the FBI investigation. So there are some tissue slides and samples, things like that we're having to hold because there's the potential there for those to be some sort of evidence or used in a case. Miss Ortiz, the grandmother had some concerns about her granddaughter's organs being harvested. Her case is still ongoing, as well as Mrs. We did have an employee that had filed a lawsuit as well, so that's still ongoing as well.
Okay, so
that's about all I can say.
Yeah,
about
I
it,
get it, and kind of a grisly topic anyway, and sensitive, of course. And if you have a member of your family who's recently passed, you do want things to proceed quickly because there are things like the estates and insurance and everything else.
Definitely,
I get where she's coming from.
Of course, yeah.
So speaking of constituent relations, like this lady, what? Tell me about what's the Jason Corley triage with constituents who reach out to you, and you've got a cell phone that you answer all the time, and we'll give that number out on the air at the end of the show. But when people approach you, Jason, I've got a real problem in my area, and they start talking. Do they approach you over the telephone? Do they email you? Do they come to the office? I mean, generally, what's the
you name it. Most of the time, for me, it's going to be by cell phone, by text, by Facebook is pretty common as well. I have people stop by my store in Lubbock that'll leave me a note. Hey, take care of. I had one the other day. Need you to do something about the road out here on the other side of the canyon.
I'd like to see some
microwave
of those notes.
tower. Yeah, it's like. Wait a minute. What
road
is that?
If you know what's good for you.
Well, I can't say that I've had too many of those, but you just got to be willing to receive that communication any which way it comes to you. I have a lot of times I'd have people call and say, "Well, I'll meet you at your office." No, don't worry about it. I'll come to you. I'd rather do that. I'd rather go to somebody and say, "Okay, show me what your problem is. Let's look at this. What can we do?" That's accessibility is the main thing. I think is just being able to get in touch with somebody, because I don't ever want anybody any of my constituents that deal with me to feel like they're talking to the cable company. Maybe they call you back, maybe they don't, and they still jack your rate up every time you turn around.
What are some of the more interesting constituent cases that's been brought to your attention? Anything stand out as rather out of the ordinary? That you want to talk about?
Well, I get some
pretty standard stuff, though. I mean, if it's not
for
roads,
the most part, it's going to be roads. One of the things that Lubbock County, since forced annexation has stopped, you're going to see a lot of development out in the county. It's a different group of people now. That when I was a kid, I grew up out in the county, and a lot of the people that were moving in there came off the farm. They're now working in Lubbock. They need to live closer to town. So, but you had people that were used to living in a rural area. Now you're starting to see more people that grew up in the city that are moving out to the county, and they're calling and going, "Hey, I need somebody to come pick up this dog that's out here." It's like, you're on your property. We don't do that.
Interestingly enough, and I found it interesting that, if you live in the county and your neighbor's got the block of a V8 engine sitting in his front yard, it's okay to have a block of a V8 engine sitting in your front yard. There's not a lot you can do about it.
Yep.
And I mean, I guess you take the good with the bad. You want to live out in the county. You don't want neighbors, staring at you through their windows. You want to be kind of spread out. But that guy who's parked a 47, flatbed Ford in his front yard for the last 40 years, you are kind of mad about that. But there's not a lot you can do about it.
Well, that's your property. You can do what you want with it, unless you're in a development that has a HOA or something like that, or a neighborhood association that's got some rules or guidelines in place. But if you're out in the county, as long as as long as it's on your property. I mean, your right's into the tip of my nose. So,
all right. Well, so looking ahead, we talked about Woodrow Road. You guys are and I know this has been going on for years, a long time before you ever got there. But what else are you guys looking at in advance now, as far as not really spending money, but just things you want to attend to as a commissioner's court with Judge Parrish in a leadership position, and Gilbert, of course, is a veteran. You and Chad are becoming veterans. Kovar is going to be a newbie, but Gilbert, he's got his concerns. You've got your concerns. How do you guys get together and say, well, look, here's what I want to do for my area going forward?
Well, okay, for Precinct 2, and it's amazing how different it is. You're all in the same county, but the concerns in Precinct 1 are not always the same concerns you have in Precinct 2 or 3 or 4. It just depends how the growth is moving. What do you have going on in your area? For me, Precinct 2, I'm starting to see a lot of these game rooms that are popping up. There's definitely some concerns there, not necessarily with the game room, but illegal activities that may go on around those. That's something we see out there. Also, but the big one that Lubbock County is going to be dealing with is we kind of had the mindset of being the biggest little county, but we're the 14th largest county population wise. So we need to start thinking, okay, we're a big county population wise, and that transition there, our road and bridge department, we've kind of revamped that. We've gone through, changed up our organizational structure there, rather than moving away from being precinct based to where it's saying, okay, let's start looking at a whole county picture here. Moving that direction. The growth and development, with now that forced annexation has ended, that's going to force the county into more of a municipal role. You're going to start seeing these subdivisions going in. So how do you take care of those roads there? We've been taking care of little farm roads. That's been what county road maintenance looks like. But now we start getting these subdivisions. That's going to start pushing, the county into, more of a city kind of role on that. So, how do we do that? How do we balance that with a tax rate? And, we've been looking at a lot of different options, talking to other county commissioners and judges from other counties that, probably went through this process, 10, 15 years ago.
Jason Corley, County Commissioner of Precinct 2. Thank you. We're going to hold you over for one more segment. We did get a text I want to address with you when we come back. This Chad Hasty Show. I'm Matt Crow, the pre-Thanksgiving edition of the show. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show. I've got Commissioner Jason Corley on here in the studio, actually. We're practicing safe distancing and good hygiene and so forth.
I think it's only about 5.5 feet there, guys.
Yeah, but I'm leaning back.
Yeah, we're both leaning back.
Got a text from 3547. We want Chad. Well, you got what you got, all right? They're scraping the bottom of the barrel with Crow, so you're going to have to wait till Monday morning to get Hasty back. Had another text, Commissioner Corley. It says here, this is from 4974. How has emergency management been performing during the COVID-19 event?
So for Lubbock County, Clinton Thedford's our emergency management coordinator, and Clinton's been really doing a great job of trying to coordinate resources. What's available from the state, what's available from the feds. I know at one point in time we went out to one of our nursing homes, dropped off. Clinton had gone out there, dropped off 1,500 masks. They were having a problem getting the proper PPE they needed, so. He's been reaching out to state and federal, agencies trying to see what can we do? How can we get these resources and get them to the people that need those the most? That's one of the primary things that we've done. Also, the creation of bringing Dr. Klepper online. Bringing him on to Lubbock County as our public health official. That's one of the things that we ran into early on with you may have a family that somebody has COVID-19 and you're really needing them to quarantine and stay there, and you had some people that were like, I've got it, and they're just going out cruising around doing whatever, and it's like, okay, no, you have a documented case, we need you to stay there. And bringing him on did give the county the ability to say, okay, you are being quarantined, by law, you have to stay. We need you to stay home. We'll bring you groceries. What do you need? We'll get you taken care of, but we need you to, hold tight for 14 days and then, come back out, and then you can come back out. We're just trying to contain that spread. So, that was one of the things that was brought on. We never had to use that. Most people, say, hey, just, help us out here. Let's try to, let's all be neighborly. And we were able to, to accomplish it that way. But, if you ran into a situation, this was early on, there was still, a lot of things up in the air on what you can do and what you can't do as far as, how do you try to prevent the spread of the disease. But, a lot of it just really truthfully comes down to, just personal responsibility, trying to, maintain your social distancing. If you've been exposed, please stay home.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, early on, you were interviewed by either the New York Times or the Washington Post about how people in West Texas reacted to it, and you were saying that we fall back on common sense. I mean, nobody likes being told what to do, but we're kind of independent minded out here, and we want to take care of each other. But enough is enough at some point. I mean, we're doing everything the government's asking us to do. We're doing everything the public health authorities asking us to do. It's still spreading. By my count, the case counts haven't flattened. They're still going up most of the time. But you're right. I mean, you ask people to behave themselves, and most people do.
Well, and I think that's just traditionally Americans. As soon as you tell somebody they're going to do something, then now it's by force, and then people start to resist. But most people in West Texas, hey, can you help me out? Can you please do this? For the most part, they'll go, yeah, okay.
It's not complicated.
I'll help you out.
Yeah,
all right, cool.
Not,
I can go along
with
right.
that.
You're not. You're asking me. You're not telling me.
People want to make a bigger. Yeah, people want to make a bigger deal about people doing the right thing than it really is. I think my estimation is most people do the right thing because they do care. They're Christian. They want to help them. Help their neighbors. Another subject entirely. When this mess is behind us, when can we expect the Expo Center to start breaking ground?
Groundbreaking. Right now, gazing into my crystal ball, this is kind of the last numbers talking with the LCEC board. We're looking at August of 21. That's what we're shooting for. So, a lot of the planning's going on right now. But one of the things that Lubbock County needed to do was go ahead and create a local government corporation that's going to, appoint a board that will manage that facility. So, we got that done on Monday. We got the structure put together. So what's going to happen is each commissioner is going to pick, is going to pick 2 nominees for that board. There's 9 people on it, and then the judge will appoint the chairman. So these will be 4-year terms, and they'll be staggered so that you don't have everybody roll off at once.
What kind of people are you looking for those jobs on the board? It's unpaid, right?
Right. This is not a paid position.
All right.
Yeah. So, somebody with a servant's heart that really cares about the events that'll be going on out there. We need somebody that really understands stock show, understands rodeo. We need somebody that understands food and beverage is going to be where the expo makes the majority of its money. Somebody that really understands that as well. Also, somebody with a strong business background. We need a concert promoter. Somebody that understands that industry as well. We need a pretty diverse group.
So each commissioner will have 2 nominees. So that's 8, and then you all vote on each of those, right? Yes. Okay, and then the judge does he nominate a board chairman, and then you vote on the board chairman as well? Or?
So all the nominees will have to be voted on by the commissioners court. So it will take the approval of you still need 3 votes to put somebody on there, but each commissioner is going to go ahead and select 2 nominees to bring forwards and. Then the judge he'll select the chairman for it, and then we'll vote. So, you try to spread it out. You still want to make sure that you're getting good people on there, but you also want to make sure that the whole county is represented there, and the interests of all of your voters will be represented on that board.
When does that take place? Then when will you nominate your folks? When will they vote on them?
Let's see. Next commissioners court meeting, we're going to go ahead and we'll go ahead and vote to create the local government corporation, but you've got to have your board in place before you do that. So we'll send that over to the state and get them to approve it. So first commissioners court meeting in December. So yeah.
How about funding?
6th,
where do you guys stand right now with the funding of the Expo Center? What's the processes that are working right now? As far as the hot tax and all that.
So we're still receiving the rental car tax and the hot tax. Right now, I believe we have about it's around $3 million in the bank from the collection of that tax. Also, the county did to fund the first bond has been sold for $5 million to go ahead and fund the development, the construction, paying for your plans and your architects and getting all that together. So that's where we're at there. Randy Jordan came to Commissioner's Court on Monday and just kind of gave us the update. So they have raised $10 million, so they've covered the endowment. Then they've raised another, I believe it was $1.8 million to help pay for construction, and they have $6 million worth of pledges.
So it's coming along.
Slowly but surely, we're doing the best we can with the COVID going on, the pandemic.
Just keep on trucking. Jason Corley, Commissioner, Precinct 2, thank you very much. Have a great Thanksgiving.